Okay. Um, how
You
did you
making a
start?
video?
How did you start drumming, and what age were you?
I just started naturally, and I was in kindergarten, and I didn't realize I was drumming. I heard the sound, and I just went to it, and I just from then I was on and off throughout my life, but I didn't really realize that it was a life calling until I'd say age 30, because I had different majors in college earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and then I finally figured it out.
And then my second question is, can you tell us about your experience playing with Widespread Panic?
Yes, one of the most memorable was one night in Pelham. We were on stage playing a song, and all of a sudden, Sonny said, "Duck, Dr. Scott, duck!" And I didn't know what he was talking about. He grabbed me and pulled me down to the floor because the audience started throwing all these flashlights at us. It was like rain showers coming down. I mean, there were 20,000 people out there. And it was like, oh, that was a cool experience.
How did you end up with Widespread Panic, or how did you end up playing with
I
them?
was contacted by Sonny, who was interested in my youth program, Drumming for Success.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of our getting to know each other and becoming friends, the students in my class, I was telling them about that. They said, well, why don't you, we want to see you play with the band. Why don't you? I said, well, I can't just jump up on the stage with Widespread Panic. And so somehow the students contacted Sonny and said, we want, we think it'd be great if Dr. Scott would play with your group. Sonny and called me up and said, hey, one of your students was saying they'd like to see you play. He invited me and said, anytime you want to play with us, come on. And it just kind of happened from there. And so I would contact them when I knew they were near Athens, or if I didn't mind traveling. And Sonny would say, yeah, come on, bring your instruments, or we have enough, you can play our instruments. And I just started doing it without rehearsals because I have a pretty good ear, so I could follow very easily. Then I started adding different things. Sonny and I started having drum battles up there, and the song called Drums was our favorite. But that was how it happened. I think thanks to you guys, showing an interest and kind of going and being the in between person. And Sonny thought it was a good idea, and that's how it happened.
Cool. Cool
Yes.
story.
Awesome. So, speaking of your program, Drumming for Success, what's the most important lesson you like your students at Drumming for Success to walk away with?
That if they apply themselves and if they listen to their elders, that they can learn things that can help them for the rest of their lives, and also for them to appreciate the value of an education. Because I always tell them how what I'm doing now, but it's only because I took my education serious. Although I was a kid, I played and I got in trouble and did all that stuff. But I did my lessons, and I even when I dropped out of school, I went back and I just kept going, and I just try to give them a tool that can help them for the rest of their life. And I believe in education is the way. It's the way. If you get your degrees and get you some skills down, you can just about call your shots. And so that's the. It's not about turning them into musicians. I just use that to get their attention, and some of them do become musicians. But it's a good way to get an important message over, to people at that age.
Awesome. My second question. You were invited in 2005 to perform at the Atlanta Heroes Awards. Can you share with us your favorite moment from that experience alongside Usher, the B-52s, and of course Greta Scott King?
Oh man, it was well. It took quite a bit of thought and effort for me to create the music, and then arrange the music, then rehearse the music with the ensemble. But that was that was rewarding. That creative process was, but the most rewarding was when our ensemble marched down the red carpet, and those great musicians stood up and gave us applause. They greeted and accepted us so well that they let us know that we had really done our job, and it was for a good cause, which was to promote education. They were raising money for education to support music in the schools. But I just felt good because I was proud of us as a little small ensemble, the hard work they put into it, and the evidence was the reaction from those great stars that were there, and the other not so well known people. And then next to that was seeing John Bon Jovi on stage and Janet Jackson, and then Coretta Scott King and all of them, and Usher, and knowing that our group was a part of such a unforgettable occasion. Yeah, that was quite an experience there.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, what would you say the highlight or a favorite moment of your career would be?
Favorite moment of my career.
Or one.
That's
That's
One
a
of.
tough one.
Yeah.
Highlight.
Well, one is when I won 3 awards for my first album. That's part of my career too, being a music producer, because I did create the music and I performed it and I recorded it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I knew nothing about recording. I knew nothing about mics. I knew nothing about engineering or mixing, but I just figured it out along the way. So I taught myself how to do it, and the fact that the community felt that it was worth voting on a positive scale, and I got Album of the Year and 2 other awards for it. That was pretty rewarding there. I felt good. My other most rewarding moments are when I hear from a student who says something like, your class made such a difference, either in my education or my life or something. That is just equally as awarding, because that's why I do what I do, for my students. So when I see you guys really rising and feeling that I had some help with that feels great.
And who would you say someone that has been an inspiration to you in your life so far?
Well, now that's on so many levels. Can you narrow that a little bit?
Musical
Yeah,
inspiration.
musical inspiration.
Well, I'll say that as far as my ability to learn what I know, my drum kit teacher, Alan Dawson, taught me the science of drumming. And the way that he taught that, he gave me the ability to figure out just about anything that I would want to figure out as far as drums are concerned, because he showed me how to really break things down. I would also say that my high school band director, the man who would take time with me after band class and give me a little, he wasn't even a drummer, but he would invest time into me and go over to my house and talk to my parents and say, Arvin's got something special and I think he should have private lessons. And he paid for my first private lesson because my parents couldn't afford private lessons. And he took time out, and made me feel like, I've got something here. I'm not quite sure what he's talking about, but I'm going to listen to him. I would say that he launched my career, because ever since I graduated from high school, I've been moving upward, because he kind of, I'd say he sent me along that path, and so I'll give those 2 credit, although there are others, but I would say those 2. Yeah.
Cool. And last, what advice would you give to someone that would maybe want to follow in your footsteps or do something similar with music?
Wow. Well, learn as much as you can, but make sure you're doing it because you love it, and then see if you can figure out and do not put yourself in competition with others, but use others as measurements that can help you get better. But sometimes when we compete in a way that makes us feel as though we've got to outdo someone, we're really using negative energy. It's good to try to reach someone's level, but from the right attitude. That's really impossible. That's really important. That's important. Mainly, one has to be in the right field, because I was in a retail field once. I did well, but I didn't go nearly as far as I have as a musician, because that wasn't my field. You got to find your thing. That's the main thing, whether it's music or not. And then if it's music, then you have to figure out a way to make it work, or find the ways that work. If one approach doesn't work, look at another until you find something. There's always a way to really succeed in a field. We just have to keep looking for that and not ever giving up, even if we have to supplement what we're doing, to make it for a while. Because I did that too as a musician. I had other jobs, driving trucks, you name it. But you know, as long as you don't give up on that dream, if you know if that dream is real enough for you, usually you can make it happen if you clicked it to the right dream. And how do you know if it's right? Sometimes you may have to experiment. Sometimes you have to try one after another but when it clicks, you'll know it. When you get the right one, you'll know that because it'll grab you. Yeah.